Hi, I'm Renee Rochelle, the founder and president of One True Match. I'm here to help you find and cultivate the love of your life. For over a decade, I've dedicated my life to the importance, purpose, and dynamic of human relationships. My team and I are disciplined by faith, love, and integrity to help our clients find the quality relationship they've always dreamt of. Each week, I will be sharing the tools and tips I've learned that have rooted my success as a matchmaker with other leaders around the world. Hello, loves. Welcome back. We are here to share another episode of fun topics that Connie and I are going to talk about today. And this one actually came from one of our viewers. And a little bit of my spin on it.
Of course, it has to have Renee's spin on it.
Well, I don't mean that, but I just mean like it's fun to tie a little bit of business strategy because I feel like we'll get more of our male audience maybe listening to this with relationships. So this actually came from one of our female clients, but I feel like one of our male clients kind of backed it up. And we talked about true love and how we can define this in a very simple manner of how to find it, right? Because either that's what we're all searching for or that's what we're wondering in. And again, anything and everything we always say is it can apply in all areas of your life, not just single. So dating, engaged, and married, make sure you get this right. Because if you don't, start working at it so you stay in the relationship you're in so you're not back in the single camp. Just saying. Okay. So we're going to call this one.
Laying the rules.
Laying the rules down, the foundation, is the 3 W's to true love. And this is my spin on a business perspective, plus what we share with our clients on a regular basis, that it's so important to remember the 3 W's. And when it comes to business, we usually say the why, the how, and the who, the what, right? But we do a little bit of spin on that because we're talking about love. So we have to distinguish the difference between professional and personal, and we blend it together and make a beautiful love story.
And we know we do not cross love and professional. We state that all the time. Like, do not be too professional. We're talking about being professional and love at the same time, but never be too professional when you're about to fall in love because don't get that confused.
Right. So it's important to compartmentalize, which is one of our C words we should add to our list if you listened to our last podcast. But today we are going to talk about trying to stay on focus and task because we have a short period of time to talk. We are going to talk about the 3 W's when it comes to finding and falling in true love or being in true love. So the first one is your what?
Your why.
Okay, we did not cue this out obviously before. And so that would have been way more entertaining if you watched this on video. But anyway, so our why
the advantages
is our story. So many times when we sit with our clients and we ask them, like, what is your why?
Yeah.
What's your story? When we interview people, we start with the basic, how tall are you? What's your, all these basic stuff, right? And then we're kind of like get down to a point where we're like, what is your why?
Yeah.
Like, what makes you you?
And also being confident at telling your why. Like, you need to be able to tell your story. And if you're listening to this and ask yourself this question as you're listening to this. Let's 20 seconds, sit and think, what is my why? And if you've never thought about that before, you truly need to be confident in saying, what is your why? And when you go out on a date and you're trying to find that person, you need to think about that. Like, someone's going to ask you, or you should be telling your story for someone to get to know who you truly are and to understand where you've come from, your why.
Like your purpose, I also say. So part of your why is your purpose. So I get asked this all day long. Like, why do you do what you do? And I'm like, well, because I love love. And as a little girl, I always wanted love. And we all get into the world of love and we watch the movies, right? And we're all like, we want why. But my why isn't actually love. My love, my passion, my why is I found my faith in a dark season of my life and a very hard time to say there's got to be something better than my non-why that I thought was my why through my college years, right? So then I seeked out to find my faith and be madly in love with a man that I know will never betray me, that will always love me and always be there for me, which was God. And when you come from toxic relationships in your past, you think, that's actually kind of logical, right? Like, he will love me forever for the rest of my life, and that's the best kind of love. That became my why of why I love and why we find the people we find today to find them the love of their life so they can have that human love. Now, again, that's my why. But the question is, not everybody is a matchmaker. Not everybody has figured out their purpose. The question is what we've learned in life, in the seasons and the things that we've gone through. Even if you're 21, right? Even if you're 18 and you're still trying to kind of figure that out, it's like, what have you been good up to this point, or what has God led you to, or maybe you're seeking that relationship with God, but what is your why
and your story?
What's your story?
What have you been through, and what has led you to this point? Why have you gotten to this point in life? What has led you there? And then also, feel confident in telling your story too. That's one thing I always say before either going out on dates, considering that's what we're talking about and how we're trying to help people in guiding them in the right direction of a relationship, is make sure that you're telling your why, your story, in a strong confident manner. Yeah.
Confident.
And being confident in telling your story, and make sure that you're not going on Renee just told a very brief part of her story, but was able to do it in less than a minute. And that's the key, is to be able to tell your story short, sweet, to the point, but with meaning and depth to it as well. You don't want to go on for 2 hours talking about your why or your story. Of course, when you've gotten to that point, yes. But when it's in the newly dating, make sure they also know your why in your story, but also how to say it in a powerful way with keeping it direct, and for that person to learn to.
Which also has meaning, because as we started this podcast off of, a lot of us have mastered how do we protect our personal life, right? To not be vulnerable, to be professional and do all these things. But it's so important that you share that you're human and authentic, and you have this deeper side of you past this successful career person or somebody that's going after this or going after that. Because so many times the reason why people aren't looked at, because in the online dating world is everybody just swipes left and right and it's one-dimensional, right? But the point is, part of standing out is also having that why right out of the gate. So when you're thinking about writing a profile, when you're thinking about meeting somebody, ask the first question out of the gate should be like, so tell me, I just want to know. I just want to sit here and have a coffee talk conversation. I want to sit on the couch. Tell me what your why is.
Yeah.
And honestly, if somebody has no answer, say, call me back. I'd love to go on a date again with you. Once you figure out your why.
Yeah. And
because it's just not interesting. It's not engaging. It's not unique. It's like having a resume with your photo and more explanation of why you did what you did than just I was here, these are all my accomplishments, these are my CVs. You have to prove yourself in today's world to be unique.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the one thing that people foul out right out of the gate, because they feel like they have to be ordinary just like everybody else, and they're not standing out to be extraordinary. So you've got to figure out what your why is, and until you figure out what your why is, and you can do it, like Connie, thank you for giving me props, but you do it in 2.5 seconds, and you believe it, and you're passionate about it, and you don't have to rehearse it. It just comes out.
And it doesn't sound that you're on you're reading a book. So you don't want to bore someone also with your story. Yes, your story may be important to you, but you also fallen in true love, and when the time comes, you can share your full story with that person, but someone who deserves to know that story. But when dating to find true love, keep your story short and sweet, to get someone to have someone to get to know you, but also to be intriguing, like Renee said.
It's the hook to want more, right?
Yeah. And keep it exciting, but also to stay true to yourself as well. You don't want to overshare your story, because your story is important to share with the right person as well.
Right, which is so important. Which dives into the next W, which is what. So once you figure out what your why is, which part of that too is, I always, and go into other podcasts that we've talked about, is writing your, a love letter to your future mate, which kind of gives you that why of why then what your what is, that we'll talk about what the next W is. But your what is what you want.
Yeah. And your vision.
And it shouldn't be what the fairy tale lifestyle shows you that you think you want. It should literally be your heart.
Yeah.
And it could be completely unique from anybody else's dream of what they think it is that you should want.
Yeah, and it's remember when you come to your what and what you want is also to be realistic. Make sure that you're putting your and we've talked about this is something we do with our clients is our needs and wants. Things that are non-negotiable to you. You need to know your not non-negotiables. You want someone who is God-fearing or there's so many things that come with that, but when you go into dating or searching for a relationship, you need to be very clearly know what you want. You don't want to be here, there, and everywhere because I promise you it will give off that impression to the other person. If you're coming across that you don't know what you want, the other person will know that and it will not lead to a successful relationship. So to make sure that you're preparing for true love is to make sure you're very clear on what you want. And like we always say, yes, there's room for negotiation, there's room for compromise when it comes to the right person, but make sure that you truly know what you want and the things that are most important to you.
And so, there's definitely a podcast we talk about your needs and wants because a lot of people will say, well, how do I know what I want? Well, if you know your why, then it will help you to get to the next phase, which is your want, to know what it is you're deserving of and what unconditional love looks like. So I think part of your want is so many of us, and I'm a victim of it. I mean, heck, it's the reason I have the business that we have today because I can relate to so many people because my problem prior to figuring out what my why was to then figure out my want was, is I kept attracting emotionally screwed up people. Mm-hmm. And I mean, not that I was emotionally screwed up. I came from a great background. But the reality of it is for whatever reason, at some point I bullied myself enough to believe that I deserved unemotional, available, or just emotionally sound people. And so that was because I was not emotionally sound myself. So once you figure out your worth and your value and your why, that takes you to the what, which is actually pinpointing the fine details of what you deserve because of who you are, because of your why. So I hope that, if nothing more, that made sense and somebody wrote that down, and that's going to give you the next step that we're going to talk about, which is who. So part of the 3 W's is obviously your why, your what, and then who is that person that you also are not going to, that you articulate because of your why, because of what you want, which is part of what you deserve, to then express when you're interviewing, when you're in a relationship with somebody, when you're with your mate, of who the right person is for you, not only today, but in the future, because if you're already in a relationship and you're in this, is like, who is this person today? Yeah. Who is this person in the future? Who is this person if you're in a relationship in the past? But who can we be together because you're my who?
Yeah.
Right?
And this is also a hard one to not get confused between your wants too, because people can say, okay, I want this 6'5" guy, and this is an example for ladies, by the way. I want this 6'5" guy who has this, and this, but then okay, that might be what you want, and they're not the things that we need to focus on, like appearance and wants, but it's who is right for you. So this is where sometimes people have to go backtrack almost and go back on their wants and be like, oh, yeah, that doesn't truly matter. It's for who is the right person. So this is really focused on someone that when it comes to who is the right person for you, you're not thinking about all those materialistic things. You're thinking about who is good for your soul, how you're compatible, how you can spend a lifetime together.
Do you have the same sense of humor? Do you have the same ideas when it comes to morals, beliefs, and values?
Do your faiths align? Do your futures align? I mean, when people go out, and this tends to happen on dating apps, is they forget to ask the big important things. With what does marriage look like to you? What does a family look like to you? I know with some of and I've talking to plenty of younger ladies that then say, oh yeah, I'm going out with this person. Okay, but they clearly aren't the right one for you because you want this family that looks like A, B, and C, and they want no children at all. And that's when you really have to focus on who is right for you and your vision of life and how you can walk together in the same path instead of focusing on, like Renee said, this whole fairy tale, because that's not how life works. And you really want to be making sure that you are staying focused in your search for love and making sure that you are looking for the right person and not wasting your time on people that don't align in your path as well.
So one tip of how to figure, because some people say, well, how do I figure that out? How do I figure out who the right person is for me? Well, one of our podcasts that we did do is talk about writing your future mate a love letter. So again, I don't care if you're single, dating, engaged, or married. It's relevant across the board. If you're married, write a love letter to your mate that you are going to give to them in the future, because you see something that in the darkness of whatever moment you're in, or even in the greatest moment, that you're going to give to them in a future anniversary year or something, right? Like, have time to reflect and think about it. If you're engaged, definitely. If you're dating, definitely write a love letter to your future mate. I hope it's going to go to your mate that you're about to marry. If you are single, sometimes people say this is really difficult, and I say, well, it's only difficult because you're not truly ready. Mm-hmm. So if you are truly ready and the moment is there, which Connie knows because she sat alongside of me of this entire journey of life, right? When you can actually write that love letter, then when you meet that person, it's so much easier, because why? You've written your why, your what, your who, through that quiet moment that you spend with your self, which is your inner soul that God has created you and is dying to hear from you, to connect with, that creates who that person is. So then when you're going out dating or you're meeting these people, it's not about the list of their perfect box of who this person is. The perfect
profile. People are hung up on the profile, and I think we spoke about this. The perfect profile, and if you're only focused on that, you're not focusing on who is the right one for you.
Right. So your who is your soul, that through the why, what, and now who is very clear, because you know your why, you know your what, and the who is the soul of who somebody is.
And it's always important to dig on yourself. I mean, we say over and over again, you have to work on yourself before you go searching for who that who is. But when you have done that, each time you do so, you'll know who is right for you too. When you know yourself well, you'll know who that right person is as well.
Amen. I think that's amazing. So we hope you have found this valuable and very informational. We hope you wrote notes. We hope you watched this on video. We're getting better at looking at ourselves.
It's harder to look at yourself.
It so is. But we are so excited with so many more tips and tools and new series to come out, where we're going to do so many more amazing things, interview more people and whatnot. So please continue to keep writing in so that we have things to talk about, as well as us just sharing things that are on our heart and our clients and other people's minds. Yeah. We love you, and we're going to leave you, and we hope you have a blessed day.
Have a great day.
Bye. It's been another great talk on this episode of One True Talks by Renee Rochelle. I look forward to our next chat. Please write in your questions and comments so I can be sure to talk about whatever it is you want to discuss in our next upcoming episode. Lots of love. God bless. XOXO.